Hello, it's me again, your old pal Orpheus, and it's another edition of Orpheus Plays with Blade and Sorcery. So, it is another day here today, of course. I mean, what would it be otherwise? Small talk, not good at it. So what we're going to do today, we're here with another survival wave mode. And we've got these weapons here, but I'm going to ignore all of those because today we're doing the skinning knife challenge. I'm only going to be killing people with this humble little skinning knife. It is so crappy that it is a tier 0 weapon, which means that you can't enchant it. So a little bit of that going on, which means they can't taser sword this thing with the electricity. Otherwise, hope you're doing good wherever you are right now, whether it's day or night, cold outside or hot. It's one of those days where you get to relax and sit back and watch a little bit of carnage. But today, I have a special treat. Got some new anxiety meds, feeling really comfortable. I mean, like, really comfortable. But, so today, what we're going to do, we're going to tell you a little story. I'm going to tell you the story of Orpheus at the opera. So get ready for that. Here we go. I'm going to grab this weapon, and we're going to just get rid of that. I'm going to turn up my headset a little bit so I can hear more of the blood spurting. Get a skinning knife ready. So, the story of Orpheus at the opera. Otherwise could be titled as Orpheus and the Horse. Okay, so we'll start things off by explaining a little bit of background. Long time ago. I mean, a long time ago. Your buddy Orpheus here was just a little kid, about 8 years old. And there I was, making my way through life in a time that was so much different. No internet, home computers weren't really a thing. We spent all of our time just kind of, I know this is going to be a novel idea, we went outside. We went actually outside into the world, and we played, and we rode our bicycles, and we didn't come back until sundown. We didn't have cell phones, none of that stuff. So there I was. My parents decided it was time for a little culture in my life, and so they decided, hey, we've got a piano in the basement. Let's get Orpheus some piano lessons. That'll be good, right? Have a little maestro pianist there. Notice I said pianist. If the subtitles down here don't get that, that's what I said. So they decided it was time for me to get some piano lessons. So I did. They brought a tutor in, and she started, basic stuff. And she notices that I start singing along to all of the pieces that I'm playing. To the point where I stopped playing the piano a lot of times, and she had to remind me that's what I was doing. So we're going to get to the good part of the story in a second. So there I am. She suggests to my parents, why don't you take him down and have him audition for the local opera company? Okay. I mean, it's more culture, right? Opera. Automatic culture. So, they take me down. I audition. I get chosen. Hey, you're part of the opera company now. Well, that's pretty cool. So, I get all ready, all excited. My first show is coming up 6 months. We do all this rehearsal. Hours and hours a day, days a week. Me, an 8-year-old kid, trying to stay focused and excited about what's going on, which is not hard because I'm going to be a professional. The first time in my life, I'm a professional actor, professional singer. Pretty sweet. So, we get to, let's fast forward. This is the story, by the way, the opera. It's about 3.5 hours long, at least it was. It's a story of King Henry VIII and one of his wives named Anne Boleyn. Now, Henry was kind of notorious for loving to get married and then having his wives magically disappear. Sometimes by just cutting their head off, which is what he did with Anne Boleyn. All right, let's start round 2 here real quick. Sword, I don't need you. Ooh, good shot. So, this is the story of King Henry VIII and one of his wives, Anne Boleyn. Long story, drawn out. pretty much Game of Thrones type stuff with the costumes and all that. All right. So the guy that was playing King Henry, now King Henry was he was notoriously fat. And this guy that played him, wonderful singer, so talented, still around today, I think. And he was, as you might imagine, about 450 pounds. Dude was huge, right? And they had to do costumes. They spared no expense on this production. The costumes were pretty much real, period. My skinning knife has gone away. Pretty much period accurate, right? They had jewels and stuff sewn into them. Not actual jewels, but lab-created ones, right? So it was fancy. But the thing weighed about 45 pounds, okay? So it was made all of expensive velvet and gold thread and everything. So this 450-pound guy puts this on. Now he's almost 500 pounds. Well, in this production, there are 2 scenes where there are live animals on stage. So we had these big Irish wolfhounds, like their back is about this high off the ground. It's just ridiculously huge. Like, as a kid, I could have ridden that thing on and off stage. And then we had these huge war horses. Now, to give you an idea of the size, where you sit on these horses is probably about 6 feet off the ground. That's how far up you are. And there I am, an 8-year-old kid. Barely, 4 feet tall? Not even? I don't even know. And so the horse's head was like right here. Like it. I went and looked at it nice and up close during the dress rehearsal. That thing was huge. So here we are. We're about to do the first full dress rehearsal. And the king goes up on one of the scenes where he's riding in from, I think, a journey that he takes. And it's him and his royal court. They're all on horses. They come in, but that's supposed to be the scene. Well, as they're starting the scene, the king goes and he's, going to get on the horse. And the horse sits down. It's just like, no, thank you. I'm done. I'm not letting this huge guy on me. And so they get all the trainers to kind of like calm it down and like, no, you should just chill out, horse. I know the horse could take the weight, obviously, but up until then, the guy hadn't gotten on the horse, right? So this horse suddenly is like, oh, what the Anyway, we get to opening night. Keep that little thing in mind, right? Now, we have to talk about my costume real quick. I was what was known as a king's page, which is basically a servant of the king. Young kid, he's there basically on an internship with the royal court, right? So I've got, you got to think about Tudor times, right? I had tights on, yeah, don't judge me. And a nice red velvet kind of, chest thing. And then I had these really poofy, I mean, you've seen them on like bad tacky prom dresses, right? These big poofy shoulders that were just, huge, and they were supposed to look all royal and everything. Take a look at the period, time period, go, look it up, and you'll see these big epaulets, I think, as they were called back then. Well, so there I am. I'm wearing my awesome, damn it, if I don't have a skinning knife, you're going to be in trouble. Well, now I don't have another skinning knife. We will postpone the skinning knife challenge, and we'll get back to it, just in case one of them has one. All right, so put on my costume, completely wreck that dude, and let's try a short sword. So, go out on stage. Now, as a person in an opera who's not like one of the main cast, you tend to spend a lot of time just kind of under the stage and the waiting areas near the dressing rooms. And all you're doing is you're just waiting for your turn to get on stage and do your thing. All right. So here we are. We're into the first, opening night. This thing had been advertised throughout the state for months before this, because it was a traveling group, so they used local, choir or chorus and what they called supernumeraries, right? they'd use them from the local troupe, but there are these people that came in that were in the opera world. Oh my God, so famous, right? So of course I never would be able to tell you who they are. But at that point, they were famous. There were like radio contests where people could go to it. Sold completely out. We're talking like, what, 3,000, 4,000 people for the first night? Packed. And this woman who is playing Anne Boleyn, another wonderful, wonderful, wonderful singer. And so they're doing great. The whole production is going along. And the first scene comes in where they all ride in on their horses. Well, there he is, King Henry, sitting on that horse. And that horse is like... he's like pacing around. He's really upset with oh, good, another skinning knife. Oh, the gods have heard me. Thank you for the wonderful skinning knife. So he rides in. The horse is looking all just, stressed out. He's pacing back and forth and moving. He's moving his head around. So you can tell this horse pretty much, he's like, no, I am done with this crap. And keep in mind, the king at this point was not wearing the elaborate outfit that he wears later for what was the hunt scene. Ooh, no. Oh, all right. So everyone goes around, they do their thing. And as the king's page, one of the things that I did during the scenes was I served wine. So I had a tray. Let me see if I can find a tray. Can I find a tray? Excuse me. Boop. So I had a tray, and it was full of wine goblets, and I'd go around and hand them all out. And at the end of the scene, I'd go around and get all the empty goblets, and then then throw my tray and bonk that guy. No, but then go off stage. All right, so since this was such a huge production, it was like, if you've ever seen Les Mis, Les Miserables, that level of like stage work and sets and stuff like that. So there we are. We're at the hunt scene. And again, I go around and I give everybody their wine. Now let me tell you about that set. Off to the left-hand side of the stage, it's meant to be the entrance to the castle. So it's this giant staircase, right, that curves a little bit, right? So it comes down on stage and then right towards almost center stage. So my job was to get all those goblets, and then me and the other king's pages that were, the king's and queen pages that were there, went and walked up those steps halfway, and we watched the procession go out, and then we walk up the rest of the steps, and the lights fade. Okay. So there's King Henry. They're all singing about some, I think it was an Italian, so I don't know. They were singing about, how glorious the hunt is, and how things are wonderful, and the world is great, and we're all royal, and life is fabulous, right? Whew, this is the rough part. So I'm standing there on stage, and it is the time when they bring the horses out. And so the star of the show, woman playing Anne Boleyn, standing on the front of the stage to a packed house, and she's just singing her heart out. Lovely, amazing tunes, and right? They bring the horses in, and we're about 3 minutes left in the scene. And King Henry goes and he turns and he's like, I'm going to go to my horse now. And the horse looks at him and goes, no, you're not getting on me, bro. And so there I am. I'm standing slightly behind the horse, right? So like if the horse is like here, standing this way, I'm standing like right here. Okay, so this would be the back leg of the horse. I'm supposed to be out of the way, right? I was a safe distance from the horse, but I was close enough. So horse sees King Henry and says, no, that's not happening. And so the horse starts backing up. And the horse is backing up. And the horse bumps into me. And I look up. And the horse takes a giant shit right on me. Okay? I mean, they must have fed this horse way too much before, the day of this production. Because it was it was, looking back, it was funny, but at the moment, it was absolutely horrifying because I look up and it's just shit coming right at me. Well, so, like, part of me now is covered in shit. I'm trying to think how I can, like, face my body to the audience that they're not going to see it, but thankfully there's this big solo going on, and I'm essentially on the back of the stage, right? Well, the first few rows start to notice something going on, and they're all, like, starting to snicker a little bit. So meanwhile, as the consummate professional that I am at 8 years old, I'm trying not to completely panic, because, you know, I'm covered in horse shit, you know? So it comes to the scene that the king and his royal court ride out. Now, the horse wasn't going to let the king on, so they awkwardly had him, like, lead the horse out like he was doing something noble. Like, everyone had to, like, follow his pace because he was walking. And so they all got behind him and, like, slowly kind of walked behind him. All right, so there I am. I have horse crap all over me. I have now, like, everyone else on stage except for the pages are, you know, gone. And so there I am. I'm like, okay, well, now I gotta get off stage. So I start walking up the steps, and the whole crowd at this point is losing their minds, like, just rolling and laughing. And I'm going up, and I look down, and on my shoulder is this. Let me get the rock over here to show you. It's like a piece of horse shit just sitting right here on that poofy shoulder. And it's like, since this thing was basically a pillow on my shoulder, it's on there, man. It's like a, you know, when you see like the glass slipper from Cinderella on a pillow, that's kind of what it was. It's just sitting there. And so, like, I'm walking up the steps and I'm trying to, like, like, nudge it off. And it doesn't work, so I'm walking up the entire time, and oh my god, it took, well, maybe 7 or 8 seconds, maybe 10 to get up those steps, but I think I aged about 2 years just from that short walk. I was absolutely horrified, and so the lights go dim in the theater, and all you hear is just rolling laughing, and it lasted, oh my god, it had to last like a good 5 minutes. People just laughing and laughing. They couldn't start the next scene because everything was just completely crazy. So I get off stage, and the stage manager comes up to me, and she's like, I saw what happened. She's like, I have 2 things to say. First of all, I am so sorry for what happened. We shouldn't have put you that close to the horse. Now, notice when I said I was a safe distance from the horse. Well, that's what they told me. I actually was not. Come on, bro. So she's like, first of all, I'm so sorry that we put you that close to the horse. We're not going to do that on the other nights. We're going to swap out the horse and everything. She's giving me all these assurances because she's like, I don't want you to go and tell your parents. Well, here's the thing. My whole family was in the audience, including my grandparents who had flown in just to see me on stage for this. So they, you know, my whole family was there, and all they got to see was me getting shit on by a horse. So the stage manager says, that's first thing. Second thing, you handled that amazingly. She's like, I've never even thought that an adult could handle that level. So she's like, good job, amazing job. You know, you're all set. Now I remember that it was Halloween for that first performance. I remember that because I was pissed off because I couldn't go trick-or-treating. And so to say thank you, the next day, the entire cast went out and got me candy, and they had this giant paper bag that was just filled with all the best candy, full bars of things. It was incredible. They all were so sorry for what happened. But yeah, so there's the story of Orpheus at the opera. I went on actually to be in, a whole bunch more operas. I think 2 more of that, and then I started doing choir and like solo work, and I started, I eventually ended up traveling Europe and North America with ensembles and solos. Man, you took my damn skinning knife again, Brenda. Brenda, where's my skinning knife? I gotta go out and do some hunting today. Damn it. So, yeah, I went on to do world tours, actually, with a choir and a lot of other things, which led me to here. I hope you enjoyed the story today. The murder is just secondary today, but hope you got a couple of chuckles out of that. It's luckily it didn't scar me, that bad. I still don't like horses though. I stay at least 6 to 8 feet away from every horse now that I ever have seen since I was 8 years old. So we'll see you next time with Orpheus Plays, another edition of Blade and Sorcery.